Boy, did you see the chaos and the meltdown that President Trump has caused over the last couple hours? Woo. Welcome back in. It is the Chris Richman Show, segment 1 for Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. We are here again, enjoying ourselves immensely because, well, we're here. Almost forgot. There it is. There's the on-air sign. Good stuff. Let's get right into it. There is, again, boats and boatloads and boatloads and boatloads of stuff to discuss today. So we're going to try and get through it. Just a programming note. Tomorrow, I'm not sure I'll be able to have one done. We'll see. It is, I've got some other things going on, so I'll try to get one in, but it's looking like it's probably not going to happen. We'll see. This may be the last segment for this week, or today might be the last set of segments for this week. Anyway, I want to start off with a story from a couple days ago, and it's a humdinger, no doubt about it. Pierce County Sheriff's Office has been in negotiations, the union rather, that represents the sheriff's deputies in Pierce County. It's funny. You read the plug for this article, and it says, sheriff's union tells deputies to look for other jobs if they want a pay increase. Now, when you click it, it's a little bit better. Pierce County Sheriff's Union tells deputies to look for other jobs if they want fair pay. Still not accurate, though, because if you read it in, the second paragraph, so the first paragraph, the union that represents sheriff's deputies in Pierce County is sending a blunt message to its members. If you want more money, apply somewhere else. The Pierce County Deputy Sheriff's Guild says 14 months of negotiations with county leaders yielded a proposed pay raise of only 10% over the next 3 years. Now, that sounds like a lot of money. I mean, when you think about it, these guys are probably earning somewhere between, probably somewhere between $30 and $50 an hour. So 10%, is $3 an hour, which isn't a small amount to sneeze at. That's a minimum increase. But when you space it out over 10 years and with all the increases in costs of everything that's been going on, not so much. And it's funny because the sheriff of Pierce County, Keith Swank, has said very clearly that he is with his folks. He is in no doubt with them. He is on board with them. Sheriff Keith Swank: I stand united with the men and women of the PCSO, Pierce County Sheriff's Office. The compensation offered by the executive is insulting. If you love your deputies, call your council member and the executive and demand a fair contract, and tell your deputies how much they mean to you. So good on him. He's standing with his people. And that's, it's neat to see that, there are some things that cross party lines and or union lines. There you go. And of course, this is not a surprise to us who live in Washington. If it involves law enforcement, the government and the people that are negotiating, so to speak, for the government, they won't do anything for law enforcement. Not at all. They'll do pretty much everything they can not to be involved with law enforcement. So while this doesn't surprise me, I'm glad they are standing together. That's very good. I hope it gets worked out, and I hope that Pierce County will be able to get a little bit better compensation package for its deputies, because things have gotten a little bit crazy over there, and they deserve every penny they can get. Now, let's segue into other things. So, like I said, they're trying not to pay sheriffs and law enforcement. They were trying to get rid of at least law enforcement in general over on the west side. But weirdly enough, they're all about light rail. Where did I just passed it? There it is. Seattle Times reported this. Light rail across the bridge to Bellevue is delayed again into 2026, 18 years after it was approved. It's a time frame so long, it's got some contemplating their mortality, writes columnist Danny Westneat. So here's the thing. The choo-choo train, they actually did make it over the tracks. They made it over the tracks on the bridge there at about 2 miles an hour, or very slow, rather. It was being pushed along. So while I should be, say I'm surprised by this is a giant money pit. This is a payoff to contractors, basically. All this is. It's a money allocation scheme. Nobody cares about this. Nobody really wants it per se, and yet they're still doing it. I'm betting this will be paywalled, but I could be wrong. Yep, it's paywalled. Okay, well, anyway, I was hoping it wouldn't be. The Times loves to paywall stuff. And of course, the comments on this are pretty brutal, as you might imagine. But again, light rail in Washington State is a joke. It is a money grab and a money fraud scheme. That's what it is. Kind of like the bridge to nowhere. Okay, for those of you who live in Washington State, you'll know what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, look it up. It's easier for you to look it up than me to explain it on the air here. So again, this shouldn't surprise anybody. And of course, we go back to a story we had a couple weeks ago. The liberals don't care about the little people, how much it inconveniences them, the so-called, non-elites. We talked about this Cascadia plan they have to run a choo-choo train from Vancouver all the way down to Portland. And let's go back and look at this here. Let's see. Blah 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 blah. Where is it? Where was that? Where it said, where was it? Kicked into funds, blah, 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 blah. Oh gosh, where was it? There was a place in this article where it said, we could just rebuild some of these less, there we go. We're getting close. Oh, come on. They want to take smaller communities and build housing there. That's what they want to do. That's their big thing. It was hilarious to read this because it's basically like, oh, well, we want to do this, so we're going to do it no matter what you think. Where did it go? I'm trying to find the quote. I just saw it too. That's the crazy thing. Natural seaport. Find the folks. Okay, here we go. Laid out a vision, affordable housing, collaborative research, et cetera, so on and so forth. Casual impact, frictions overseas. Where the heck was this? It was just hilarious. They talk about having, we'll have this, and then we'll just take areas that are less populated and build stuff there. Okay, well, what about the people that live there? Don't you think they might want to have a say in that? But again, it doesn't matter what you little people think. It's what the liberals that run things, so to speak, think. That's what they think. That's what they want. There you go. Anyway, so again, good on the sheriff's department for holding up. Hopefully they will, hopefully they'll get what they need, because they need it. It's very simple. The light rail scheme, as for that, I don't know. Good luck. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all voted for it. Well, you didn't vote for it. The liberals wanted it, and you guys didn't throw a tantrum or throw a fit and demand that they not do it. So here we are. Okay. Next up, we talked about the light rail briefly because it's not a whole lot we can do about it. But this is another thing. This is just insanely stupid. And we're going to kind of start this. Obviously, we're starting this off with kind of the stupid segment of the day because I want to spend a little bit of time on some 2A stuff at the end here. But I want to get into some of these other things first. Standing airplane seats. Now, if you're watching on the video here, you can kind of see this, but if you want an idea of what this looks like, essentially take your chair, imagine that you're sitting in a chair, right? So you're roughly horizontal, and then tilt that chair up. Think about like those ads from a couple of years ago where they had, to help elderly people get out of chairs. They had the seats that would come up, right? The chair would lift and tilt. So it would essentially make it easier for an elderly person to stand up. Now think of that, but make it with a whole bunch of those lined up and have the seats be really tiny. And that's the thing is standing airplane. And this is reposted by Colin Rugg, by the way. Standing airplane seats, which can increase passenger capacity by 20%, may be unveiled in 2026, according to the UK Daily Mail. Unreal. The seats force passengers to sit up higher so airlines can place seats closer together. The Skyraider 2.0 seat also weighs 50% less. Well, duh. You don't have to have all the adjustments, meaning the airplanes can also save on fuel costs, supposedly. Skyraider 2.0 opens the traveling experience to a wider passenger market, creating also a useful space for the introduction of mixed classes boarded on the same aircraft. The seats have a bike-like seat that travelers will straddle and would likely be implemented for shorter flights. Okay, so here's the thing on this. First of all, the amount of fatigue this will cause is ridiculous. And here's the other part of this. Oh, well, it can save 20%. Okay, so here's what they're going to do. These smaller seats. What you'll see is you'll see places, like a lot of Europe, right? Where the flights in some cases are maybe an hour, if that. And you'll see them, they'll have this huge glut of seats, and then they'll add first class seats. So the ruling class, as it were, won't have to mix with the hoi polloi. And basically they'll phase out, coach, essentially. This will be the new thing. They'll have a whole bunch of standing seats like this, and then they'll have first class. And not much in between. Because, well, we don't need to deal with those people, right? We can just do what we want to do. It's our, we want to travel in comfort. I don't care about the rest of the people. I mean, weighs 50% less. Okay. Maybe so. But if you look at it from a business point of view, people who are going to buy first-class seats are going to spend more. Chances are they will probably not only buy the first-class seat, which is an upgrade, since they're there, if you offer them additional food options, for example, they're going to spend money on that too, more likely to, right? So you see what I'm saying is it's lucrative for the airlines to have first-class seats because they cost more. They can sell them for more dollar-wise. Cost-wise, they're not that much more expensive. And you get your high-margin items, which are food. Okay? And you'll sell more food. Don't doubt me on this. This will happen if they go forward with this. And then as for the back seat, folks, it's an hour. They don't need to have, anything there like drinks or because if you watch the video, there's no room for drinks or anything like that on these seats. No, not even remotely. That's one of the reasons why they weigh 50% less. So for that hour flight, you don't need to have drink and food. They could say right up front, no food or drink. Okay, is what it is. Now, first class, oh yeah, you get to have food or drink. There you go. So I will be very interested to see where that goes, if it goes anywhere. I'm not even sure it will. But yeah, you can see kind of on the video here, it's an interesting look. And there's a guy that was trying to get into the second row here, and he's about as crammed in as you can get. And he doesn't look to be all that tall either. Anyway, okay, let's see, what else? This is fun. And I say fun with tongue firmly planted in cheek. This is from Newcastle, Washington, which is near Seattle there, or relatively so. They had, a town hall or a city council meeting, and some guy from the alphabet crowd came in and said that Newcastle, this is posted by Brandy Cruz, by the way, said that Newcastle should be flying the pride flag instead of the POW flag. Let's go ahead and listen to this, and you'll see the outrage here.
Heard a lot of opinions about the pride flag, and for certain members of our city council as well, like Mayor Clark, you're a veteran. You would, of course, support putting the POW flag up on the pole, despite them being a massive minority of our American population. But you have a problem with certain vocal minority voices, like the LGBTQIA plus community, having a say or having a flag up there. Why are we honoring POWs who are dead, but not our citizens who are alive? Because we value the sacrifice that was made, right? We have citizens that are alive today that are suffering, and they're asking for help, and they're feeling ignored. So how can we say that we're going to be welcoming and supporting and a loving city when we're turning a blind eye to that?
Okay, turning a blind eye, really? Really? It's much less than, here's the thing. They say, oh, yeah, same-sex attracted people, the thing is like 2%. One, I don't know that I buy that number. I would say it's less, personally. I really would. There's a lot of people that say they are that are not. They are what's the term? College gay. But let's just assume it's correct for now. 2%. Okay. They're getting far more attention than 2% of the population. If it was any other group, would. So meanwhile, and no offense, what have they done? What have they done? What have they done that has advanced society? Okay. Sure, there have been people in that community that have. I can't name any real big ones off the top of my head, but we'll go with it. I'm sure there are. But have they fought for the country? Perhaps. But that would make them veterans. Okay. POWs, prisoners of war, not necessarily dead. Not necessarily. MIA, POW, MIA, that type of thing. Missing in action. And POWs sacrificed a hell of a lot more than this guy will ever even think of. And a lot of his ilk will ever even think of to protect this country. Part of Brandy's tweet here was, and they wonder why people have had enough. Yeah. You say you want the same rights and benefits as the rest of us. And yet you're given, like I said, for 2% of the community, and for the outside of the same-sex attracted one, it's way less than 2%. The so-called transgender, which isn't a real thing, by the way, in reality, up until about 5 years ago, was probably 1,000%, if not less. Okay. And now, since it's trendy, you might have 1%, 1.5%, maybe. Okay. And then people that actually, supposedly are, which again, there's none. The actual percentage is 0. But people claiming to be that way, reality, again, much less than 1%. Much, much less. So you guys have a whole freaking month, which is absurd. You have this whole month where it's supposedly Pride Month. But if it's people that are, say, proud that they own guns or proud that they're conservatives, you guys hate on them. Not everybody, but a goodly chunk. That's mocked and made fun of and laughed at and impugned. A month. Our veterans, okay, Veterans Day is 1 day. Memorial Day, 1 day. 1 day apiece. So 2 days total. 1 for living veterans, 2 for veterans who gave all. Okay, who are no longer alive. 2 days for people who literally fought for your ability to stand up there like an impudent jackass and run your mouth. If it wasn't for those folks, you'd be there. If it wasn't for those folks, you would be either dead, okay, or imprisoned. It's that simple. And you have the balls to walk up in front of other people, in front of a group of people, and say this BS? Come on.
Why are we having such a big fight over a flag? Who is being harmed by the flag being up?
Very simply, it is not a community flag. It is not, let me put it this way. It is not a national flag, okay? It is not a memorial flag. It's not. The United States of America encompasses everyone. The United States doesn't care whether you're same-sex attracted or not. They don't care. It doesn't care if you're white, black, any other color. It doesn't care. It doesn't care whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, whatever. We were founded on Christian values. No question about that. Those people who deny that need to go read the founding documents and the documents leading up to them. Okay? But we welcome all races. We welcome all creeds. We welcome everybody as long as you are willing to obey our rules. That's a big thing that people miss. You assimilate into our culture, not the other way around. That's why the flag, this so-called pride flag, which is, a rainbow. Rainbow's out there. Okay? They've appropriated the rainbow design. Okay? But this so-called pride flag isn't necessary. Because guess what? The stars and stripes, that symbolizes, that includes your little flag, okay? It doesn't need to be shown to be included. Same thing. Now, when you talk about the POW MIA flag, that is a memorial for people who gave their all potentially or are missing in action and assumed to have given their all, okay? That's a big difference. Huge difference.
I don't think anyone is. But we have people that are telling us that they're being harmed by the flag not being up. They're not feeling heard. They're not feeling represented. They're not feeling loved by our city.
Well, then they're idiots. I'm going to come out and say it brutally. You're idiots. You're not being harmed by not having a flag up. I don't walk around and talk about, I feel harmed because that person doesn't have a don't tread on me flag. I'm harmed by that. I'm harmed by the fact that they don't have a United States Stars and Stripes flag with green, red, and blue bands in it to represent military, fire, and police. That doesn't hurt me a bit. Okay? It doesn't hurt the police I know. It doesn't hurt the firefighters I know. It doesn't hurt the military, both active and ex, that I know, not to have those flags up. You have that problem, that's on you. You're the one that's allowing yourself to be hurt. Grow up.
Why? Why is this such a continual issue for this? People keep bringing religion into this. People keep bringing...
Yeah, why is it a continual issue? Because you people don't, it's never enough. Okay? It's never enough. You want equal rights? Fine, you've got equal rights. But guess what? That's not enough. You want special rights now. That's why. That's why people have had enough.
Political opinions into this. If we're going to stand and support each other, we need to be able to do that in a way that people can feel heard without feeling oppressed.
Says the man who's speaking in front of a city council. Do you not see the delicious irony in this? The complete and utter stupidity of this man saying that in front of a city council. I mean, it beggars belief. Well, we don't feel represented. Okay, so if you want to, represent the country, then if a city council of, say, 10 people has more than, if they have any representation on that city council, they need to be kicked off. What? Yeah, because 2%. And again, I'm kind of on the line about that. So for every 100 people in a city, there should be 2 people. If you want to do it that way, you want to play that game, we could play that game. How many people are on the city council in Newcastle? 5, 6? So if we go by percentages, right? unless there's 20% population in Newcastle that is same-sex attracted or anything in this alphabet here that you say, okay, and if they're the best people for the job, then they should be on the council. But see, that's the thing. This guy doesn't want the best people. He doesn't want the most talent. He doesn't want the best qualified. No, he wants a political agenda. That's what he wants. He wants a political agenda. He talks about, well, we shouldn't have politics in this. And I don't see why it's a big deal to fly a flag. Because it's not just everybody in a melting pot, right? The United States is a melting pot. That's the old saw, right? The old cliche. He doesn't want that. He wants, well, the United States needs to be this group of people and 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 this group of people, and they should all have separate things. No, that's not how it works. That's never how it's worked. That's not what made the country the way it is. And you, for some reason, cannot figure that out.
Just briefly, I mean, for the second time in a couple of months,
so hold on just a second here. Sorry, interrupt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 people on the city council, if I'm reading the nameplates right. Looks like they have 2 absences this day. So if I'm seeing that right, 7 people. Okay. So again, if we go by percentages, if we want to be, quote, representative, and represent the community, mirror the community, why would you want to have an alphabet person on there? And again, for those of you who are just joining, I don't say alphabet as a derogatory thing. I say alphabet because I can't remember all the letters that you guys have in this chain of letters. I mean, I can't. It changes every day. Every time I hear it, I hear people say it. I might hear 1 or 2 people say it the same way, and then the next person says it a completely different way. I don't want to offend people. I really don't. So I just say alphabet to kind of include everybody. Kind of like having one flag. It includes everybody. And it isn't the rainbow flag. Sorry, it's not.
I'm just flabbergasted that somebody thinks there's an equal sign between the POW flag and the pride flag. Oh my
Agreed.
God. If I got to explain that is a sad day.
Agreed. That's the end of the soundbite, by the way, for those of you not watching. Yeah, if you have to explain that, honest to God, I would have said, if I have to explain that to you, you're too stupid. You are far too stupid, and you clearly need to go read some history. Pure and simple. All right, now that we've gotten fired up about that, let's go ahead and take a music break and settle for just a second, and then we'll come back and I'll go ahead and light you up again with some wonderful sound bites from Hakeem Jeffries. All right, we'll be right back. We are back on the Chris Richman Show, Thursday, May 22nd, 2023, or 2025. Wow, went back in time 2 years there, didn't I? Sorry about that. Oh my goodness, that was kind of crazy. Anyway, sorry, I was looking at something from 2023 and yeah, crossed over there. So we talked about right before the break that we were going to talk about Hakeem Jeffries and the wonderful idiocy that he exhibits. I mean, if anybody observes, or if anybody deserves a segment in our
stupid libs
portion of the show, it's probably Hakeem. For those of you who don't know, Hakeem Jeffries is the House Minority Leader. He is a brain donor in the most epic of terms. He is not nearly as intelligent as he thinks he is. And let's go ahead and hear an example of that because, well, you need to hear this to believe it.
And under current law, undocumented immigrants are already ineligible for Medicaid, the ACA exchanges, and for SNAP benefits. Not a single undocumented immigrant in this country gets a dime in federal taxpayer dollars for any part of comprehensive Medicaid coverage. Not
Really? Not a dime, huh? Really? Anybody believe that for just a second, especially after what we found in Doge? Anybody believe that? If you do, I hate to tell you, I don't know how to help you. Given the amount of fraud that was uncovered by Elon and his crew, oh, by the way, Mark Zuckerberg is trying to see if he can get the new head or the chairman position at Doge now. Zuck wants it. Yeah. Wow. Anyway, so I guess my retort to this would be very simple. Okay, so you're speaking of official and like on the book stuff. What about the numbers of people? By the way, this was originally posted by Mark Foster and then retweeted by Wall Street Apes. What about the Doge findings that Medicaid and Medicare payments going out to unknown people, just kind of written and then approved? No big deal. What about that? What about people who fraudulently applied for Medicaid and Medicare, okay, using fake Social Security numbers, which, by the way, is a common tactic of PHIs, people here illegally, okay, undocumented immigrants, which is illegal immigrants. What about that, Hakeem? Do you really think somebody, I guess the biggest thing I would ask Hakeem is do you really think anybody walked into a Medicare or Medicaid office, walked in and said, hey, I'm here illegally and I need to get signed up for Medicare/Medicaid. Do you really think that happened, Hakeem? Do you think that was something that took place? Do you? I mean, do you think people just walked in and said, yeah, you know what, I'm illegal, so here's my paperwork. I don't have a Social Security number because illegal, duh, and I still want my Medicaid and Medicare benefits that I'm not entitled to, by the way, because I'm not a citizen. Is that how you figure it worked? I'm just curious. Is that what you're basing your claim here on? How else do you think this guy would honestly put this forward? Let's listen to a little more, shall we?
one. And so when we're talking about nearly 14 million people who are going to be thrown off their health insurance, millions of others who are going to be jammed up by this aggressive cut to SNAP, the largest cut to food assistance in American history, we're talking about American children.
Okay, so again, let's go back to Doge. Fraudulent and abusive. And he mentioned SNAP here, so let's talk about SNAP for just a second here. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. How many times have you seen people walk into a store, and maybe it's state level stuff, but I would be willing to bet there's some food stamp stuff here too, SNAP stuff. And they go in and they have a cart full of food, which is by no means in any way, shape, or form healthy. Not even close. How many times have you seen that? So when they say they're cutting money, that's part of it. It's fluff, okay? Now, as for the rest of us, you might want to go and look at that, Hakeem, because again, when you look at the number of fraudulent payouts that Doge discovered, just realize that's the ones they saw. That's the ones they were able to find. That's the tip of the iceberg. You know, in this case, it might be a bigger chunk of the iceberg than normally there because the people they had working on it were pretty smart. But just realize that's not everything. So if they cut 10, billion or whatever it is, 10 million out of it, chances are they could probably cut 20 or 25 million and still be just fine. So again, there's very little truth in anything Hakeem says here. And of course, he can't be held accountable for that, can he? All right. Let's go to one last thing here. I want to, before we take a break and finish this segment up, I want to briefly discuss this latest bill signed in Washington State. It is going to require you to get a permit to buy guns. Now, this is from the Seattle Times, written by Jake Goldstein Street. So, hyphenated name. You know what I think about that. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson on Tuesday signed into law a controversial policy requiring gun buyers to first pay for a new state permit. Starting in 2 years, that's 2027, by the way, House Bill 1163 will require those interested in purchasing guns to apply for a 5-year permit through the Washington State Patrol. Applicants must pay a fee and have completed a certified firearms gun safety training program within the past 5 years, with limited exceptions. Now, here's what Sideshow Bobadingus, said about this. Gun violence in Washington State breaks apart too many families and kills too many children, Ferguson said. We must put common sense gun reforms into place that save lives. So let's parse this. First of all, what do we know about any time a liberal says common sense? It's anything but common sense. In fact, it is the very opposite of that. Okay? Secondly, gun violence in Washington State breaks apart too many families. Okay? Kills too many children. Hey, Bobo. Hey, Bob, over here. Sideshow Bob. How many of the guns that were used to break apart families and kill children were legally owned and legally possessed? I'm curious. Answer me that, would you? And, oh, by the way, if somebody wants to get a firearm and is a criminal, which by their very nature means they don't follow laws, okay, we've had this conversation before, I know. Do you really think they're going to go, yeah, you know what, I want to go shoot up that school over there, so I'm going to go ahead and go in and apply for this permit, and I'm going to go ahead and go do this course, and I'm going to go ahead and go through all this stuff, and going to go through the 10-day waiting period, which you already have to prove you've taken a firearm safety course, by the way, in Washington State. And you have to have a 10-day waiting period. So anyway, how many of you guys think that any criminal is going to go through all that crap, okay, versus a law-abiding citizen? Anybody? Anybody? You guys in the back there? Nothing? You don't think so either? No? Over here? Up in the nosebleeds? No? Anybody? No? Okay, cool. So nobody believes that. Nobody is stupid enough to believe that this is actually going to stop people from buying and using a firearm if they are going to use it for illegal means. As is the fallacy with all gun control, this will do two things: jack and excrement. And guess what? Jack just left town. It won't do a thing. It will not do poo to stop gun violence. It won't. It won't do a thing. Now, good news is some of the sheriffs in this state have said, yeah, no, mafangu, we're not doing this. We're not doing it at all. We're not only not going to do it, we're going to not enforce a lot of the stupid things that you put into place, Bobo. Keith Swank is one of them. Dale Wagner, God hopes, Joey Crete, rather, excuse me. I was thinking of his younger brother, who I went to high school with. Joey Crete in Grant County, hopefully, will not go along with that. So, again, what's this going to do, Bob? And it won't do a thing. And, of course, if it was this is the other big thing of this, right? If it was such a priority to get kids and, to protect families and to protect children, why the hell are we waiting 2 years? Why are we waiting 2 years, Bob? If this is so important and it's such a big deal, why in the hell are we waiting till May 1st, 2027? 2 years, almost 2 years away to implement this thing. Why aren't we doing it right the hell now? Why? Because it's politics and because it won't do a damn thing. It will not do a single solitary thing. And Bob knows this. He knows this. This is a bone to the Democrat progressive base. That's all it is. There is nothing in this that will do a thing. It cracks me up. It absolutely cracks me up. The State Patrol expects the new program will cost just over $20 million. $20 million that we don't have. We're already, what, $12 million in debt as a state? Fees collected for fingerprinting and background checks would offset the cost. Really? The system would bring in over $35 million in the 27 through 29 biennium. So roughly, let's see, what? $17.5 million a year. Okay, so it would take over a year to pay off, basically, what they're saying. And now, again, this is the thing with the guns, or with the government. Here's the thing. You forget. Do you really think people are going to buy guns in Washington State through this system? Hell no. Absolutely not. It's going to be private transfers. It's going to be, we're going to go into Idaho to a gun show and buy it there. No one's going to go, or very few people are going to go through this. Not like now. Now is bad enough. The bill's prime sponsor, Liz Berry, Democrat Seattle, said the law had been a decade in the making. I'm a mom of 2 young kids, and I'm someone who has lost someone I love to gun violence, she said Tuesday. This bill is transformative for our state, and we're not done. We've got more to do. You've lost somebody to gun violence, really. No offense, who? Who did you lose to gun violence? Liz? And by the way, you're the mom of 2 kids. Great. You don't want a gun? Fine. Don't buy a gun. But why in the hell, Liz, do you think it's your business to tell me, a law-abiding citizen, who, by the way, likes guns and likes to own them? And guess what? I've never had to shoot anybody. Thank God. And knock on wood, I never will have to. But just in case, I've got a pistol on my hip. And usually I wear one on my leg too. And maybe elsewhere. I'm not going to say. But the point is I have the right, enshrouded in the Constitution, right here. This is my permit. This is my permit to buy firearms, Liz. This. The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. And I quote, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And by the way, militia, for those of you smartasses out there, pardon my French, who think that militia means military, it does not in any way, shape, or form mean military. It means you, me, and all the other people, the person driving by in the red minivan right there, okay? My neighbor across the street. We are the militia. Well-regulated does not mean let's put some laws in place. No, it means well-provisioned, well-armed, with sufficient ammo and, provisions in general to take out, if we need to, the government. I know, oh my gosh, what are you doing, Chris? Why would you say that? Because that was the whole point of it. Shall not be infringed. Last I checked, that doesn't mean, well, except for. No, shall not be infringed. If they wanted to put something in there, a limit on it, they would have put shall not be infringed except for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever it is. And again, this is not a law to prevent something. This is a law to punish law-abiding people. This is not a, hey, by the way, if you murder somebody, you could get the death penalty. This isn't a deterrent. This is a, hey, law-abiding gun owners, F you. That's what this is. 100%. As is with most, if not all, gun control. But again, if this was so important, if it was such a big deal to get this taken care of, they wouldn't wait 2 years. That's the biggest giveaway right there. They would not, in any way, shape, or form, wait 2 years for this to be implemented. We'll talk more about this, I'm sure. All right. This has been the first segment of the Chris Richman Show for Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. Appreciate you joining us today. We'll be back for segment 2 here shortly. See you then.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, listening about the bills, yeah, I agree, Barack. It is pretty stupid. But right now we're just trying to close out the program for the first segment. So can you just go over and, go talk to Michelle or whatever you're doing?